Hi, and welcome to Tech Talks, the People and Planet podcast. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Ramon Lizardo, CEO of healthcare technology platform Tele911. Ramon, hi. Good to meet you. How are you?
Haley, great to connect with you once again. It's always good to catch up with you for sure.
Definitely. No, I'm really looking forward to learning more about the business and your background as well, and all of that good stuff as how you arrived here. But first things first, I think, and we always start the show with this question because I think it's front and center. Talk us through the problem that you guys solve with the company mission and perhaps what inspired that.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm a physician by training, even though I've been in tech for about 15 years. And I specifically spent time in emergency medicine. And one of the things that I uncovered is that people were using the ER, the emergency room, as their primary care. They would literally call 911, get a ride to the hospital, and use it as a way to get a script quickly, or because their doctors wouldn't have appointments. But they basically were using it as a faster access. The thing is, I signed up for action. I was a 24-year-old saying, "Hey, where do I want to do? What do I want to do? And like what specialty?" And I signed up for action, and I realized, wait, this is all primary care. This is all things that we could be doing outside the office. So I ended up trying to build this company a few times and failed. And then the pandemic hit, and virtual care became a thing.
Yeah, sure.
And I realized, wow, there's an amazing power on this. And what we do is that every time there's a 911 call that's low acuity, the call actually gets rerouted to one of our board certified emergency room doctors. So my overall mission was to democratize access to emergency care. Now, really interesting about this idea, Lee, is if you would have asked me last year, it's like, hey, will it work? I don't know. Like last January, it was like, maybe it'll work, maybe it wouldn't, right? And then within the first few months, we started, my goal was to see 300 patients. I was like, 300 is the goal. If we prove 300, then we can prove the masses. And within the first few months, we started seeing thousands. And
Wow.
I realized, wow. And then by the end of the first year, we covered 4.5 million lives. And I realized, whoa, this is becoming a company. Now we're in year 2. We cover almost 10 million patients. We now cover all California, Texas, Florida, the entire state of Maryland. Like this is becoming the gold standard. And we have a 2-year backlog of people wanting to provide these services for the county. The company now is over 5,000 medics strong. So it's turned into a big operation here in the US. But it all started with an idea that was literally scribbled on the back of a greasy napkin. What if people call 911 and actually got a doctor instead of going to the hospital?
And that's, yeah, I mean, it's huge. I mean, as you know, I'm based in the UK and we have exactly the same problems, and the same problems with burnt out healthcare workers as well, because perhaps they're dealing with cases that don't need them, that could be dealt with in another way, of course, as well. So it seems like this product is solving lots of different problems here.
Absolutely. And so we're basically building this idea here in the US, but the ultimate goal is, hey, how do we take this worldwide? I truly believe this should be the standard just across not only the US, but parts of Europe as well. So our goal is, hey, we're going to cover all of the US, then we're going to go to Europe within 3 or 4 key countries, and then we're going to start covering Latin America. But with the traction that we've made just in the last 18, 20 months, we feel very strongly that this is slowly going to creep into other countries, and sooner than what we expected.
So just to wrap it a little bit more for us then, the product itself, in terms of, so if I'm sick, if I've got an issue, I would phone Tele 911 and get through to a doctor?
No, that would be too hard. So what we do is we want people to do what they naturally do. Here in the US, they call 911 in order to get an ambulance.
Yeah.
What number do they call in Europe? What number do they
999.
999. So they would naturally just call 999, right? The ambulance usually shows up between 7-8 minutes. It's
Uh-huh.
the app here. And on their iPad, they have an app. They press that button, and in 37 seconds, a board certified emergency room doctor is there. Now, the interesting thing is, remember, you still have personnel at your house showing up within 7 or 8 minutes.
Mm.
They always carry a bag. And in that bag, I tell people everything you're going to find in the ER, it's there. They could do an EKG, they could do blood work, they could do IVs, everything, but they can do it at your house. And these calls on average take about 10 minutes, and then they're back at the station. Historically, if they go and take you to the hospital, that truck is out of operations between 2 and 4 hours. So not
Mm.
only are we giving back time, so when the real emergency happens, they're able to relieve it, but we're also providing that ease of use for the patient at home in a quicker and more expedited way.
Love it. Love it. And no wonder you have such a backlog. I mean, that's a huge solution. How did you arrive here then? You started, you said at the start of the show that you're a physician. You've been in tech, I think, 15 years now.
Yeah.
What's your background? Talk us through it.
Mm. So I'm a physician by training, but I'm one of those people that was doing 2, 3 things at once. I basically self-taught myself how to code
Oh,
early on, and I ended up building this app called Morgan Stanley Health Pro. It won a bunch of awards, and I said, hey, maybe I could build companies. So I
sure.
joined a little company while I was wrapping up my clinical years, and that company ended up scaling to 500 employees, and we sold
Wow.
it. And I realized, whoa. Well, first, I you sell a company, you go back to mom, and you're like, Mom, I think I did something, right? But then you realize, hey, you have the superpower of not just as a clinician, but also as a business
Mm.
person, and combining them too. And then I went out and built a few other companies, and all three of them eventually ended up selling. And I
Wow.
realized, okay, there's a trajectory here. And now that I'm a father and a husband, I'm able to build things that not just to make money, but also to add meaning and disrupt entire systems. And I think that's what the product of Tele 911 is.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, it's rarely plain sailing with startups. You've done remarkably well in your career, but I'm sure that you had to navigate some challenges. And I always ask this question as well because we do have a lot of fellow founders that tune in. Tell us a little bit more about the challenges and how you overcame those.
Yeah, so many challenges
Yeah.
for sure. So I always tell people this: 9.5 out of every 10 startups fail, right?
Mm.
9.5 is probably yours, right? Um, yeah, so I mean, this is a historically incredibly hard space, right? You have to build something that attracts a ton of value early on, and then you have to move into a stage of maturity and business growth in order to be able to attain money from investors and accelerate it, right? So early on, remember, these are just ideas. Finding, not, first of all, designing an idea, then finding people that are going to fund your idea who are equally as crazy as you are, right? And
Mhm.
saying, yeah, that could work. Here's $3 million, right? Go for it. And then you have to prove out that idea and prove that you can monetize it. And you got to do that within the first 16 months,
Mm.
right? And then you got to go out and find other investors who are going to help you scale it. So this startup space is incredibly hard. Now, Tele 911 has been in a very unique space, right? And I share that not only as a CEO, but also as an investor and also as an advisor across so many healthcare startups right now. Tele 911 is in a very unique space because the problem that we're solving is a problem that solves it's a problem that solves three acute points for three different aspects, right? For example, the patient is able to receive more expedited care at a cheaper cost,
Mhm.
right? Check. Right? The health plan or the insurer is able to save about 70% of the cost because the patient no longer went to the hospital.
Oh
Check.
yeah, awesome. Yeah.
And then the county is able to use their resources for the real emergencies because their trucks are now in service. So the fact that we created something that naturally solves three different issues across three different industries is ideal, but impossible to find, right? Because of that, Tele 911 was in a very unique space. On the flip side, right, we ended up building the nation's largest virtual ER in less than a year.
Wow.
Right? Why was that? Like the fact that 5,000 plus emergency medicine personnel use our platform, those are 5,000 people that I'm liable for. That's besides the hundreds of contractors. That's besides our core executive team. So why is this hard, right? Well, because we didn't expect to grow this fast. So we had to build quickly and bring in the right people that had the past experience and say, basically at this company, you see one, you do one, you teach one, and you keep iterating really fast, right? And thankfully, we were able to find the right personnel to help us execute on that. But we realized, especially early on, we didn't have a chance to fail. Because if we were going to fail, we're going to fail big because of how fast this was growing.
Really interesting. Thank you for sharing that as well. And I remember when we caught up last time, and I'm keen to get this one in because you've scaled to 500 previously. How
5,000. Oh, at the last company, my first company, 500. Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
So how do you scale to that many people, and still keep a culture? I'm not sure if those 500 were remote workers as well, which makes it even more difficult.
They were a mix of remote contractors, full-time staff. They were a mix. Obviously, we had to find them within 12 months, right? 14 months. So they were a mix.
Yeah.
Onto your question of how do you keep a culture when companies are growing so fast? So here's a methodology that I use, right? That works right now, and it's worked for Tele 911 all the way up to this point of 5,000. But I'm not sure between 5,000 and 50,000 is going to work. We might need to find another methodology. But here's what we do, right? I'm the CEO. I have probably about 15 VPs and heads of departments that report to me, right? I'm responsible to know the names of every one of their kids.
Yes.
Why is that? And some people don't have kids, they have cats, right? I'm responsible to know the name of everyone. What does that mean? If I know the name of their kids, I'm doing two things. One, I build a personal relationship with them. I know who they're caring for. I know why they're working for me, right? Super important, builds empathy, and it's built character. But because of that relationship, I'm also able to ask for more. What does that mean? Well, Tele 911, we consider it a school. And it's a school that you have to perform. And it's a school that you have to perform to stay as it continues to grow. I tell every employee that I know their kids' names, right? This is the school. Every year, a certain amount will move forward and a certain amount won't. It's okay. If you don't make it, I'm responsible to help you find another job, because you not making it here doesn't mean you're not going to make it anywhere. Maybe this wasn't the right place, or this division wasn't the right place, and I welcome you to join another division within the company. Totally fine. But it's a school. So we have this culture of, hey, we're family, but we're super performance oriented, right? Repeatable, monetizable, and scalable. Every dollar has three jobs, and we have to function like that as a wheel. The thing is, if you don't do your job right as a wheel, it starts clicking off on other teams, right? And we have metrics meetings Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and it just pushes everyone. Now, again, very few people have not made it. One, because we all are there supporting, right? But the ones that haven't, we've been able to stay in contact because they saw, one, our effort, two, our culture. And for us, that's equally as important, because that's our best marketing. The employees that speak well about us who are no longer here.
Great advice. Thank you very much for that. And lastly, what's next? What comes next for Tele 911? It's been a big year already. What comes in 2025?
Yeah, so we are going to be hiring 58 additional personnel within the next 12 months. And that's going to be part of our second group, not part of our core group. Why is this important? Well, And the reason is because we've identified that our backlog needs a solution, right? We have a market lock, and we have an amazing moat here at the company, but at the same time, we know that we're not here forever. So we've identified what our current pipeline looks like. If we've identified the talent that are going to help onboard that pipeline, and we're basically on a pace now to find these people and make sure that we're executing in a continuous motion towards growth. That's the next 12 months. Additionally, what we've realized is historically, we've worked with health plans and counties. Now we realize that we can best leverage our services with entire states, and entire states are giving us contracts, right? Which is awesome. So now we're basically tackling entire states of the United States in order to expedite our growth process. But that's also going to make sure, that also means we have to beef up our clinical team.
Yeah.
Just the fact that our calls, I'll give you the last 10,000 calls, the average time of wait for a board certified emergency room doctor was 37 seconds.
Wow.
That's insane. I can't call
crazy.
Friends, get them to pick up in 37 seconds, right? But the fact that we do this over and over again, and now add the forecast of adding entire states, and we want to keep that level of excellence, these are real problems that we have to put the personnel in now in order to be able to scale correctly.
It's going to be a big year.
I hope so. I hope that it's a big year. I think it has the opportunity to be a big year. And again, here's how I see this. Even though I'm one of the people here that basically took this baby and developed it into what it is, Tele 911 is way bigger than me. It's way bigger than Ramon or what I can build. I see this as, hey, a baby that I took care of for a little while, but it's not mine, right? And I'm gonna grow it, and this baby's either gonna, get passed on to a larger company or a government or somewhere, right? But whether I'm here or not, the idea and the mission has already transformed the market, and now there's a new standard, right? So what does this year look like? It looks like growth, right? What does the company look like? Well, that's what we're trying to figure out. What will it look like in the next 2 to 3 years?
Ramon, thank you so much for your time and your insight. It's been amazing to speak to you. Guys, this is Dr. Ramon Lizardo, the CEO of Tele 911. Thanks again.
Awesome. Thank you.